Talking about the universities, we were talking about the program to teach people free market, and then they have the big government side. We opened this podcast talking about these kids who are being indoctrinated. They're being told they can't succeed because of their race, things like that. And I'm worried that this is going to teach a generation not to try. They can't be successful, and will make them dependent. So, when you were telling the story about how you have this college program, I mean, they're going to the grade schools right now. I'm curious what you think about, what our kids are going through, and what do you think is going to happen with that?
I'm worried, as we talked about. My focus is those 4 attributes, we talked about. And I want it to be under 40, because under, between 15 and 40, those generations, you got processed food, you got social media, you got internet, you got all this technology, you got all these technical devices around them, you got pharmaceuticals, you got super high anxiety, you got a little bit of deterioration of the family. I'm really worried about that demographics. And when I hear critical race theory, the law of unintended consequences here are, there's going to be tentacles going every which way. I'm worried that's actually going to hurt the black community more than it's going to help them.
Oh, I agree. There's a viral video right now where this there's this black father, and I think it's actually one of the best criticisms of the critical race applied principles. So theory would be just the academic literature, and the applied principles would be what they actually tell the kids and what they implement. And this is a father who says, he just very politely says, hey, my kids came home and they were very scared, and they said that you talked about slavery and Jim Crow, but nothing in between. I'd appreciate it if you just, let my kids be kids and grow up a little bit, because I want them to be the best they can be, but they're being told they can't. So, and that was basically it. Very calm, not this rage-filled, how dare you? It was him just being like, look, my kids are freaking out, and can we just let them be kids for a minute? And then I'm like, I hear you, man. Yes, kids. What I don't like about what's happening in these schools, and what worries me, is that we had this story the other day, fourth graders being told to go through this critical race, applied principles packet and answer all these questions. And they tell the white kids that you're oppressors, that you're evil, that, you need to recognize what you've done, and your ancestors, the sins of the fathers are yours. And then they tell the children who are not white that you can't succeed because of your race and because of these things. What's going to happen to a kid who's told they can't succeed? They're going to say, when they fail, when they stumble and fall, hit their knee, they're going to look at the crack in the ground and say, that's the fault of the white man who made the sidewalk, not me for not paying attention. If you go through life that way, refusing to acknowledge where you have made a mistake, how could you ever possibly improve? You can't.
Well, this whole past thing is a problem. If you take 2 siblings that come out of an alcoholic family, one grows up and drinks themselves to death. The other one grows up and is the CEO or the president or whatever to fortune and fame. And so you ask the one that eventually drank himself, why'd you drink so much? He said, well, because my parents drink all the time. And then you ask the other sibling that went to the top, why didn't you drink? And they said, well, I didn't drink because my parents drank and I want to be like my parents. The point of that is the past doesn't make the future. The future makes the past. This living in the past, you got to acknowledge it. You got to learn from it. But we can't be worrying about things that happened, 2, 3, 4, 5, 600 years ago. We need to identify what's going on right now and plan for a bright future for all of us.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of powerful political interests who recognize grievances make money. Media outlets realize, hey, if we can say something that's shocking and freak people out, we're going to get paid. And then there are special political interests say, we will get votes. Whether it's votes or cash, there's power to be had in fanning the flames of this stuff.
Well, there's money everywhere. That's, the medical system, academia. I mean, it's just a big money machine. The pharmaceuticals we talked about, the billions they give in lobbyists, the food process. So all of it gets back to, follow the money for sure. But at the end of the day, principles always are more powerful than force. And good is always supersedes evil. We just got to hang on to it.
There are just some bad people who I think it's a lack of empathy, in a sense. They don't care what happens to other people. Perhaps it's a combination of utilitarianism and nihilism or callousness or some measure of each, individual idea existing within people. One of my favorite stories I tell people is this: back when I was, growing up in Chicago, there were people who would, sell pot, right? And it was like a really risky thing to do. You know what I mean? You might make money doing it, but it's super illegal. And I remember meeting some guy, and he was talking about how people were really dumb. He's like, man, you got people in this neighborhood, they're so stupid. You know why? They sell dope. They're selling pot. Why would you do that? And then I was like, what do you mean? They're trying to make money, and it's like an easy way to make money. He's like, no, it isn't. He's like, you know what I do? He's like, I call local venues. I ask them what bands are playing this weekend, Friday or Saturday. I call the band and say, hey, I'm going to make shirts for you to sell to your audience, and I'll take 20%. And they'd say, okay. And then he'd go to a print shop. He'd spend, a couple $100 on shirts, sell them all out to this band's fans, make himself a couple grand in a weekend, totally legally. And he was like, I make more money working one day out of the week than all of these people selling dope. Why are they doing it? They're not thinking. They're being told lies. They're being told it's an easy way to make money. It's not true, man. There's better ways to make money. So I bring this up because there's a lot of people who are grifting, who are manipulating, who are trying to make a quick buck. But there's really easy ways to make legitimate money if you just think and you work hard.
Well, back to this board of directors. I mean, you can talk about what they did, evil, this, that, and the other, and just how wrong, and it's horrific. But it's their problem. It's not my problem. All I can do every day is wake up and put the best version of John forward that I can put forward. And as long as I'm better than myself and I'm better than the people around me, then hopefully that'll spread a lot better and a lot more poignant and a lot more graceful than people that are doing wrong. I believe that.
So when we had people from your crew show up, we also had a bunch of free, you sent us some pizzas.
Right.
So we're downstairs and Papa John's Pizza shows up. I was told by some of the people who are working with you that they were like, oh, send him a picture. He will point out everything that's wrong with the pizzas. And at first I was like, do you mean like since he left, they've ruined the pizzas? No, just like the pizzas aren't perfect, right? So actually one of the first things you do is you come in, you're like, let me take a look. And then you pointed out, here's where they made mistakes. This should have done this. This should have been better. I only bring this up because you mentioned there was a bonus thing that you had. Right. That you were paying out a decent amount of the profits and bonuses to your staff. That's true?
Right. Well, the guest experience can't exceed the employee's experience. If the employee's having a miserable day at work, they're going to take it out on the guest. So we always put the employees first. And a big part of that was we made them feel like owners. And we did that through profit sharing. And if you got the product right and you got the service right and you had a good attitude, usually the customer was pretty happy. So we figured out how to measure that. We put out a great pizza, and when they got it right and with good service and good attitude, then we paid in bonuses in the tens of millions of dollars. So our employees, not only were they getting promotions and getting raises, they were getting huge bonuses. And so that was what I call a win-win-win-win-win.
Was there a percentage that you allocated to this?
Well, the managers, for example, were 20%. But it goes right up from the manager, right up the supervisor, right up even to the people in the office. The executives all get paid. It's another thing we did. We had the bonus system aligned from top to bottom. So most corporations, the guy not only at the top gets his $4, $5, $6, $7 million bucks, and the people at the bottom getting taken advantage of, which is immoral. It's unethical. We made it so that the guy at the top couldn't get a bonus unless the folks doing the heavy lifting at store level got a bonus. So the bonus system had a total alignment, total integrity, and that was one of the most powerful things we did is bonus from bottom to top.
Does that system still exist after you've left?
No. The first two things they did when I left was they took out the measurement system. Well, if you don't measure it, they're not going to do it. If you don't reward,
what was that measurement system?
Measurement meant the quality, which you just alluded to, the 10-point scale on the quality of the product, how long it took to get the pizza there, how many times the phone rang, did the driver have a hat on, did the driver smile, that kind of thing. The measurement system, the matrix to measure the quality, and what we call demonstrable value, which is basically the customer experience. And the second thing they took out was the principles. We really are big on principles, and we think you got to have core values. Every company has core values. FedEx is going to have different core values than GM, and GM is going to have different core values than Papa John's. Core values are nice, and they're pretty specific to whatever company, but principles are universal. So mutual respect, kindness, thoughtfulness, collaborative alliances, win-win-win, authenticity. Those are all like gravity. They're just there. And you can fight principles all you want, but principles, like gravity, sooner or later are going to win. So we built the company on principles, and then core values, and then measurement system on quality. And it was very, very powerful. But that's the things they took out the first because those are the hardest things to do.
How did it start?
Well, real quick, though, to follow up on this point, the reason I brought this up is that Bernie Sanders proposed 20% stock sharing with the workers, so that when profits come in, a quarter of the profits are divvied up and then sent out to the workers. It's fascinating to me that, I've heard quotes from you about minimum wage being too low. You're talking now about this bonus structure, and it sounds like a lot of the things the left claims to want, you are actually doing.
Chick-fil-A gives half the money to their managers. Half the profits go to the store manager. So I'm big on ownership, and I'm big on splitting the pie up. If you give the employees, say you're making $100,000 a year, and you give employees 30,000 of it, believe it or not, within a year or two, they're going to have that number up to 140 or 160.
Yeah.
So
they want to make money.
I know, and so that 70% of 100 is if you had 100% 100 within 2 or 3 years, the 70% of the number is going to be a bigger number. So yeah, it compounds itself for sure.
Chick-fil-A, they pay their staff really well, also, right?
They do everything well. I mean, they're principle centered. I don't like to get too much into religion, but they're definitely spiritual. Yeah. They obey universal laws and universal truths. They're very consistent. They're family run, so they can play the long game, and they take care of their people, and they love America, and they love humanity. They were the one company that we always wanted to be like, Chick-fil-A. Yeah.
Wow. Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to see the full show, come back to this channel, youtube.com/TimcastIRL, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., where you can leave comments and super chat, and we actually will read your comments on the show. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and if you want exclusive members-only content, segments you can't get anywhere else, go to timcast.com, become a member, and we even have full bonus episodes. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.